and we're always being attentive to our own life because that's where the cartoons happen. Several years ago, my wife and I were in Washington, D.C., walking around, and it was before a particular retail store became so, there were none of them in New York at the time. And I found walking around very confusing in Washington, D.C., and came up with this cartoon on the street, on the spot, fully formed in my head. Are we in this Starbucks or the one down the street? The very best and most intoxicating idea generation happens through something I think of as a misdirection experience. Uh, it's as if the cartoon happens to you and you didn't think it up, and it's a wonderful, thrilling thing. It actually makes you laugh just the way the viewer laughs when they see it for the first time. An example, recently I went into my studio absolutely committed to making a cartoon about the war in Iraq. And I worked and worked and worked all day, and nothing was happening. I couldn't make it happen. And finally, I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to go home and turn on, Chris Matthews, or just watch cable news for a while, and something will happen. And then I thought, damn, we're having this work done in our apartment, and the TV is all put away. I can't do that. And then suddenly, just at that moment, I looked down on my pad, and it almost sort of appeared by magic was this cartoon. Our dream is to live long enough to see the end of our renovation. One of the ways we structure our idea search is with the cliches. You all are familiar with them: the desert island, the people at the bar, the pearly gates. These themes have been done over and over in the history of the magazine, and it's wonderful for cartoonists because it can, at some point, it can focus your search for ideas if you put it in one of these contexts. And we're always trying to push it to the limit and do what no one else has done. Here are two great Desert Island cartoons 50 years apart. The first one by Charles Adams. By George O. Wright, I thought there was something familiar about it. And then this one from just a couple of years ago by a young cartoonist named Eric Lewis. I'm dating a turtle, Hank. If you've got a better cry for help, I'm all ears. Several years ago, we did a show called Cartoonists Unleashed at the New Yorker Festival, and we played improvisational games. I had 15 cartoonists on stage, and they had a high-speed caption contest, which they had 10 seconds to come up from an image with caption. And then we did this. The audience would choose one from column A, one from column B, one from column C, and we made cartoons about it. And it's actually a really good example of how these cliches work for us, because you can start putting them together yourself. Just before, I was looking at the robber, the lawyer, and the pearly gates, and the robber would say something like, "He's just here to present my case, and then he's going to hell." But you can start putting these together yourself, a waiter and a scientist in bed, and cartoons can happen that way. Finally, about ideas, really the most mentioned source of ideas, to use a very strange word, are feelings. People come into their studio, as I do, sometimes very angry about something, and it's not as if the cartooning is a therapy, but it is a way of processing that feeling, sometimes getting back at what's causing that feeling. And anger is a very common one, and for me, it usually revolves around topical issues. This cartoon was definitely rooted in anger. He's taking insurance, pass it on. Another one, a political cartoon, and I'll talk a minute about political cartoons in the New Yorker. This was also at a time when I was extremely pissed off. You know who's a big pain in the ass? Europe. The New Yorker has David Remnick, our editor, does not like quote unquote political cartoons, editorial cartoons, but you can get stuff in there. It's an art in and of itself. part of the deal is you can never advocate for something. You just have to sort of sit back once